You can ask it again if you want, Tony.
Pretty exciting moment. I know you described it after the game, and what are you thinking this morning? What's your thoughts after that whole thing?
Well, we're really proud to be part of that. That event. It was really an event as it turned out. Few of us have anything to compare to that. So Sherm Smith has one. The Miracle, whatever that one was. He's had one that was as good. But I think we're all real grateful that we were part of it, and that we had the opportunity to be faced with so much adversity and so much of a challenge, and then see guys really play through it and come through. And it wasn't just like a one-play thing. It was a lot of stuff had to happen. The defense did some great stuff throughout this game, but they did stop them the last couple times they had the ball. Special teams came through as we needed them to. Offense came through, in great fashion. We used the clock well. Russell had 4 interceptions, and then he's 6 for 7, after that, and then a touchdown. Marshawn rushes for 120 in the second half. Their QB throws for 60 yards in the second half. They're 1 for 7 on third down. I mean, those are all things that are indicative that it took a while. There was a lot of stuff that had to happen to put those kinds of numbers together. We outscore them, whatever, like crazy. And from the time we're down 16-zip, and what is that? It's 28-6 or something like that, but all through that, it didn't feel great, and it really, to me, didn't feel great till he caught the ball, and when Kurtz catches the ball, that's when it felt right, and okay, it's done. But it was a great game to be a part of, and a great event to be a part of. So
Bill Walsh used to talk about a few games Joe Montana had at Notre Dame, and he had a feeling that maybe this guy could be that sort of comeback player, clutch player in the pros. Did you have that feeling when you were scouting Russell and talking to him, or did that come later?
This would go back to John, because I didn't know all the history of him, but John had talked about that he had been able to pull off all of the heroics and stuff. I think he was Player of the Year in his conference as a freshman. So and he said, well, where did it come from? Well, he already had it then too. So Russell is an extraordinary young man, and with this great belief he has in himself and in the people that he instills and feeds off of the people around him, makes him a really powerful competitor, and there's nothing that he can't come through with, and there's nothing he can't do. There's no lead, there's no situation that he doesn't have a chance to make it happen the way you want it to happen, and that was evidenced again yesterday.
Russell's usually so diligent at taking care of the football, and to have 4 interceptions yesterday to put you guys in such a hole, that's typically something you don't have to work out of. What did you see through those 4 plays? How did they kind of happen, and what were your thoughts?
Well, there's 2 of them they go off us, and that's nothing he can do about those. He challenged him on the deep ball down the middle, and really just underestimated the wind through the ball. That didn't get, it was a ball that was going to be challenged from the start. Both guys were covered. He took a shot to Jermaine, because that's what we do, but the ball just didn't travel, like he had hoped. And it kind of happened on the one up the sidelines too to Jermaine. The ball just didn't travel as well as he had hoped it would, and they both just became underthrows just by a hair, and they're both aggressive plays. We're going after it, and they made nice plays on the ball. It's a great play by their free safety. He had a great game against us to make the catch, but so it wasn't anything. It wasn't any slight. We didn't practice something during the week, or if we would have had more reps. It was a couple things that happened that tipped off us, and then it was going for it in an aggressive way, and they made good plays. That's why they're in that game right there. They have that ability to make that kind of stuff happen. They're the number 1 turnover team in the NFL going in. So they did what they do well, and it almost had the chance to take full advantage of it.
Any update on Richard Sherman's elbow?
No, I have nothing yet.
How about Earl?
I don't have anything on anybody that are getting the MRIs and stuff like that yet. Sorry.
Lost in the excitement were those 2 stops early in the game. But I know that wasn't lost on you. How important were those 2 goals?
Yeah, we had 5 sudden changes in the game, and they got 6 points. That's phenomenal football. It didn't seem like the defense was at their best in this game as you watched it. I felt it kind of too, but you look afterwards, and a great quarterback throws for 170 something yards, and as good as Eddie Lacy did, he rushed for 70 yards, and they were 4 for 13 or something on third downs, and 0 for 5 on sudden changes is the way we look at it, and so it was a fantastic night of football for the defense. But the stops early weighed huge later on, and we weren't sure what that was going to mean, but they were huge stops. They're on the 2-inch line, and fellas made a tackle to keep him out of there and knocked him out a couple times. So the defense had a great night again, a great day. It was a day game.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
How personally gratifying as a coach who instills the belief and the intangibles in these guys that after the game they said, without the belief, we would have never won that game, and that's why we won the game.
And the first part of the question was how
personally gratifying as the coach who's
Well,
trying to
it is for all of us on the staff. We work together with our messaging and all, and we feel really good about this. And we felt good about it for some time now. When we saw the thing turn around and get going, we saw the potential that we had to play the game like we like to, show up, and then we did it week after week for a while there and really got going. And now the challenge is just keeping it alive. And what a tremendous illustration this was. Really, we're standing on the sidelines there prior to overtime talking about that. Look what you've done. Look what you've accomplished to get to this point. Let's go finish this thing. Believe that we can. And that's how this messaging has been throughout. So it feels great. It feels great to share this with these guys. But most important, it's great to see them embrace it and go and take hold of it.
Is it further illustration that Chris Matthews makes the big play, Gary Gilliam makes the big play, Cohen and Dobbs and guys like that on the goal line stand,
Sure.
undrafted guys?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of how it's just been. We're kind of numb to that right now, but it's the facts, and that's why when we're talking about the work that John and his guys have done, it's illustrated so many times and with so many great examples of finding guys and getting them into the system, and then they play winning football for us. So.
Hey, Coach, is there anybody on the staff who, I guess, who on the staff gets the most excited about identifying things that you can do, like the John Ryan Gilliam play, things that you can exploit to do unorthodox stuff on special teams?
Well, Brian Snyder really takes the lead on that. Nick Sorensen and Chad, Morton, those guys are all in there together. They come up with the ideas. Rarely will it be somebody other than the special teams guys for special teams, but each coach has his own way and his own style, and they bring different things to make up this terrific staff we have. And sometimes the ideas pop when you're driving in or when you're going to bed. And here we're wide open for whatever. Where there's like no boundaries to what we would be willing to do if we feel like it's going to work. And so the guys are in a good environment for ideas and for free thinking and all that. But really, in the special teams area, you got to give the credit to Brian. He does a fantastic job. He's been terribly consistent throughout the time he's been here, and really, that was their doings. Totally.
When the offense was struggling, it seemed like Marshawn was able to give you guys kind of something until things got going. How big was?
Yeah, he had a great game. We rushed for 143 yards in the second half. He had 120, and he was just alive and ripping. And he had a couple catches too. And it's been an extraordinary season that he's put out here, because he's been so consistent for so long, and he's been so physically right for so long. He looked explosive again. He looked fast and his attitude's always there, but he was able to take advantage of space and sometimes no space. Somebody had a stat, I don't know these numbers, but yardage after initial contact in this game was really high. No kidding, look at the film. He just would not go down. And there are a couple great team finishes on plays, too, when he's driving his legs and those guys jump up off the ground and knock the pile forward and get us 4 or 5 more yards. That sends a message of his style. He played fantastic again.
We've seen that with him where he's able to. It takes 3 or 4 guys to get him down. He's able to stand up the pile, and the offensive line is able to come in and kind of drag it. Is that just kind of a rare skill set that he has?
Well, yeah, I think it's our guys taking advantage of his special qualities. Our guys realize that if there's a really good look at one of them, Sweezy looks up and he's kind of half on the ground. He just scrambles to his feet and hits the pile to keep it going. That's just taking advantage of what he brings.
Your schedule's out for the week. Is it exactly the same as last year at this time? Did you make any changes, and if so, why?
No, we're exactly the same. Yeah, we kind of like the way it worked out.
How much of an advantage might that be to these guys that now they've done this and they'll know the media crush when they get there?
Well, I think it's been an advantage all year. The whole thing's been an advantage. It's only helped us to understand what lies ahead and all that. And we have we've created this path that we're following now, and we've been doing it the whole season, and we got one more 2-week shot to go for it, and we're going to stay right with it. There's no reason for us to change much what we do right now. We'll just try to do it better, just try to do everything better, and try to maximize these days that are coming up. Every one of them is going to make a difference.
Speaking from your experience last year, what's important to accomplish this week for the coaches and the players before you get on a plane and go down there?
We do have to get a lot done. This is a very heightened time for us. This is not like sit back and let's take a couple of days. We go after it because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we're game planning, and we'll have the game plan in before we leave. So that's an old Bill Walsh way. 2 times for Coach Walsh today, and that's the way we've always done the bowl games and stuff ever since we've been doing it. And it's a really good way for the coaches and the players to focus before all of the distractions that naturally come up when you get on the road. And then we'll be polishing all week long.
Does it look like a normal? I mean, it's pretty much look like a normal work week for you guys then?
Yes, it will be.
Pete, both Richard and Earl have been really durable players for you through the years. Do you even have a feel for what your defense would look like without one or both those guys, or is that somewhere don't think about it, don't jinx it?
Well, I'm okay about that, but I'm not going there. It's worth mentioning again the effort that those guys put out. Okay, here we don't even know what happened to him yet. We don't know what the result of the injury. Both those guys were in a dire straits for could they play, and they didn't flinch, not for a second. And when they played their hearts out, and the courage and the toughness and standing up for who they are and what they mean to this team and all couldn't have been more evident. And their willingness to throw their body out there again and try to finish this game, and would not allow it to be any other way. It was so impressive. It really was. And there's a lot of guys that do that. It just was really symbolic. Here's Earl with the big brace on his shoulder, and he's back out there playing. And there's Richard couldn't straighten his arm out. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll talk about that once we know what's going on.